From the local Ukrainian community about the war and what's going on there and some of the things they're doing to help as well. That's coming up next.
7-day weather forecast is brought to you by the Gattle Automotive Group.
Welcome back. The war between Ukraine and Russia unfortunately lingers on 3 years later. So many lives lost, so many people injured, and so many lives turned upside down. And joining me right now is Ihor Rakowski, who has been helping with many of the Ukrainian fundraisers here on the Suncoast, and Andriy Futey. He is Vice President of the Ukrainian World Congress. And gentlemen, thanks so much for joining me here tonight.
Hey, Rick.
And first off, I just want to ask both of you, what are your thoughts here on this war between Russia and Ukraine? And here we are 3 years later.
Well, I think one of the main things for us first to recognize is that this war actually is a full-scale invasion 3 years ago, but the war began back in 2014 when Russia invaded Crimea. So you're actually talking about a war that Russia has started as an aggressor over 10 years, and that is what we need to be mindful. We continue to be extremely thankful to the United States government for the assistance it has given Ukraine through these 11 years. Because if it hasn't been for the assistance, Ukraine would not be in the position that it is today. I think it's very clear that the aggressor here is Russia. It is very clear that Russia is the one who does not want peace. President Zelensky and the Ukrainian government has said repeatedly over the last couple of weeks, the last couple of months, and even in today's conversation with President Trump, that they strive for peace. But the people that cannot be trusted here is Putin and the Russian government. So we're hopeful. Nobody more than Ukrainians wants peace in this process. Too many lives have been lost. But the fact of the matter is Ukraine has to have some type of security guarantees that Mr. Putin cannot come back and do this again once he reassembles his armies.
Yeah, that's critical, Rick. That's really the bottom line. As Andrew just said, there's not a person on the face of this planet that doesn't want this war to end more quickly than every single Ukrainian. It's the Ukrainians who are being killed, who are being maimed. It's their children who are being abducted and taken to Russia, perhaps never to be seen again. It's their cities that are being leveled, their houses of worship being destroyed, their orphanages, their museums. There's an attempt on a part of Ukraine's neighbor to completely obliterate the whole concept of a Ukrainian nation. And Ukrainians, yes, they do want peace, but there is peace and there is peace. And Ukrainians fully understand they'll continue to have to pay a price until they get the sort of peace that includes the appropriate security arrangements, which they're relying on, certainly with respect to their European partners and also from the United States, hopefully at some point. And we'll continue to watch this diplomatic chess game play out.
Yeah, speaking of which, what is your reaction to that heated meeting between President Zelensky and President Trump recently? And they're meeting today. They are trying to work on a ceasefire here.
Well, I think today's meeting was a positive remark in terms of both the comments from the White House as well as President Zelensky. President Zelensky was very clear that, once again, Ukraine wants peace. It's the Ukrainians who want peace. The invading neighbor does not. He very clearly asked for more arsenal. He asked for more weapons. He asked for more anti-missile and anti-drone defense systems. President Trump had indicated that he would absolutely take a look at it. But after yesterday's conversation that President Trump had with the enemy, Russia sent a major force of 40 or 50 drones that attacked a major Ukrainian installation. So once again, we have to take a look at who's serious in this matter, who really truly wants peace, or who wants to continue their act of genocide. This is an act of genocide by Putin, by Russians, against the Ukrainian nation.
And Ihor, there are a lot of Ukrainians living here on the Suncoast. A lot of them had fled from Ukraine to this area, especially the Northport area. And you are always doing a lot of fundraisers to help the people of Ukraine. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. By the way, I think it'll be a surprise to you and probably to most of your viewers that there are literally thousands of Ukrainians and Americans of Ukrainian descent who live on the west coast of Florida. And a great many of them are concentrated in southern Sarasota County, in particular in the Northport area. Ukrainians have been supporting what's been going on in Ukraine across all generational lines, across religious lines. I'll give you a couple of examples of what's been done recently. The first Saturday of March, for the first time ever, there was a Ukrainian festival in a beautiful park next to the Northport Municipal Hall, and it was very well attended. People got to enjoy on a beautiful Floridian day Ukrainian performances on stage and delicious Ukrainian food. And as they sat at the picnic tables to eat their food, they had the opportunity to log on to the or use the QR codes that were on all of the tables and then strategically placed throughout the park so that people could make contributions directly to various causes, including orphanages in Ukraine and military hospitals. And as recently as a couple of days ago, this past Saturday, as I mentioned to you earlier, the Ukrainian National Women's League of America organized an incredibly successful fashion show. It was at a local golf and country club in Venice. It was sold out completely, and all volunteers modeled different types of embroidered Ukrainian shirts and skirts and blouses and dresses and accessories, and it was a resounding success. Now, as I sit here, the tallies for both of those events have not yet been added up, but I can safely tell you that it's already in the tens of thousands of dollars. And this is going to be a tremendous help for the different causes to which these monies are earmarked by the various organizations that are sponsoring these and other events.
And really quickly, what more can people do to help the cause here?
Well, I think I can safely say that there are three organizations that are sort of the gold standard, if you will, of fundraising. These are organizations that are 501c3s. They're not-for-profits. They operate on a shoestring budget. And because of that, virtually every single penny of every single dollar that is raised is earmarked specifically for the projects for which it is intended. One of them is the Ukrainian Congress Committee of America. That's UCCA.org. I'm looking at a piece of paper to make sure you get it right, and I encourage everyone out there to contribute. Your help is needed. The Ukrainian National Women's League of America, UNWLA.org. And finally, it's the Revived Soldiers Ukraine, rsukraine.org. That last organization is instrumental in bringing over seriously wounded Ukrainian soldiers who cannot get the appropriate medical treatment in Ukraine. And through the incredible generosity of American hospitals and medical teams in the United States, they're being outfitted with prosthetic devices to replace their lost arms, hands, legs. Many of them go back on active duty when they return to Ukraine, and some of them wind up on the front lines as well.
All right, we'll have to leave it at that. Gentlemen, I do thank you for your time. Ihor Rakowski and Andriy Futey, thanks for your insight. Of course, lots of prayers that this war ends very soon. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
All right, let's send it over.